Hi, I'm Damon Wade, Director of the North Carolina Botanical Garden, here at my home garden in Durham, North Carolina. I hope you and your loved ones are all healthy and safe. There are so many in the community and in the world right now who are struggling for so many different reasons. We seriously considered canceling tonight's event. Our hope is that the next hour will bring you joy and lift your spirits. From my family to yours, welcome to the Carolina Moonlight virtual party.
Hi everyone, I am Aislinn Spain, the executive producer of this event and the executive assistant at the North Carolina Botanical Garden. On behalf of all of us at the Garden and the North Carolina Botanical Garden Foundation, I want to welcome you to the first ever Carolina Moonlight virtual party. Before we get started, I have a little bit of Zoom housekeeping to go over with you. As an attendee, you will be muted and you will not have video. When you join this session, you are notified that it would be recorded, and by continuing in this session with us, you are consenting to being recorded. But we will be emailing you the link to this recording next week. You can interact with us at any time during the event using the Q&A function, which is located at the bottom of your screen if you're joining us via a computer, or at the top of your screen if you're joining us via a mobile device. Whew, all right, time to get to the fun part. Many of you have already received the recipe for the official Carolina Moonlight cocktail, the new Cherry Bounce. You'll see this recipe on your screen now, and if you haven't done so already, I would suggest heading to your kitchen and shaking one of these up before you get started. While you're doing that, I want to share a few fun facts with you about this drink. This is the official cocktail of Raleigh, North Carolina, and is arguably the oldest and most influential cocktail in our state's history. Back when our first state legislators were trying to decide where they would build the Capitol, they came to central North Carolina, which was pretty much just wilderness at the time. They visited a couple of local taverns and they drank the Cherry Bounce. And they woke up the next morning pretty hungover and said, "Hey, that was fun. This is where we're building the Capitol." Now, the new Cherry Bounce is a little different than what they would have been drinking back then, so feel free to make it your own. And of course, I would recommend using a wildflower for garnish instead of a cherry. All right, I'm gonna hope by now everyone is settled in with a drink in their hand. I'm gonna step 6 feet this way and let NCBG Director of Development, Stephen Heath, share a few words with you about tonight's event hosts. Helicopter. Thank you so much for being here and enjoy the show.
All right, everybody wants to participate tonight. Great, hello, my name is Stephen Keith, Director of Development for the North Carolina Botanical Garden. Welcome to the Carolina Moonlight virtual party. It's a beautiful night in the plant collections, and I'm so glad to have you with us. Back in March, we wondered if or how we could hold the Carolina Moonlight event given the global circumstances. But the resounding encouragement from the North Carolina Botanical Garden Foundation board members and garden supporters inspired us to press forward and find a way to showcase the Botanical Garden in an alternative virtual format. During the next hour, we hope you will feel like you're right here in the plant collections and habitats of the North Carolina Botanical Garden. It's amazing to have so many of you participating with us tonight. There are folks from all over North Carolina with us, as well as folks from Southeast Virginia, to New York City, to Ohio, and even Salt Lake City, Utah, joining us tonight. Now that you've had time to prepare your Carolina Moonlight cocktail, the new Cherry Bounce, let me introduce you to an esteemed citizen of North Carolina. D.G. Martin is the host of UNC TV's North Carolina Book Watch. He's a retired lawyer, politician, and university administrator. But more importantly, he's married to Harriet Martin, a leader of the North Carolina Botanical Garden Foundation. D.G., will you officially start the Carolina Moonlight virtual party by leading us in the official North Carolina state toast?
Well, I'll do it if you'll help me, Stephen.
I'll see what I can do.
Raise your glass.
Here it is.
Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun doth shine, where the weak grow strong and the strong go great. Here's to down home, the old North State. Want to do another one? Another verse?
Keep going.
Let me take a sip first.
Sure.
Here's to the land of the cotton bloom white, where the scuppernong perfumes the breeze at night. where the soft southern moss and jasmine mate 'neath the murmuring pines of the old North State. Here you go. One more. Here's to the land where the galax grows, where the rhododendron rosette glows, where soars Mount Mitchell's summit great, in the land of the sky, in the old North State. Ooh, I'm gonna too much. There's one more good one. This is the last one. Raise your glasses. Here's to the land where the maidens are fair, where friends are true and cold hearts rare. The near land, the dear land, whatever fate, the blessed land, the best land, the old North State. Here's to you.
Thank you, DG. And I also want to raise a glass to our Carolina Moonlight event host. 19 households have joined together to make tonight successful. The event hosts on this screen are sponsoring tonight's Carolina Moonlight event by providing the financial capital to help the garden meet its $60,000 fundraising goal for the event. And over 150 of you have also made a donation through your registration to raise important funds for the garden. Cheers to you all. Now, we have two of our event host families with us at this time, and both are also representatives of the North Carolina Botanical Garden Foundation. We welcome Harriet Martin, Executive Committee member and also Assistant Treasurer, along with her husband, DG. And we also have Vice President Sims Preston with his wife, Posey. Now let's meet both of these families. Harriet, why don't you start us off?
Yes. Welcome, everyone. What a glorious evening to celebrate the garden. Did you get this fun? I'm thrilled to be the center of attention for a minute because you, DG, are always in the limelight. But the real joy is all these botanical fans coming together. Over 400 folks registered to join Carolina Moonlight to celebrate the 2020 year of the Wildflower.
Well, Harriet, this visit to the garden never disappoints. I always learn something new, and I always have a great time. It's a wonderful place, and I bet you tonight I'll learn something more, something new. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the garden this evening. I've been away for far too long, and I can't wait to catch a glimpse of the spring wildflowers. And DG, I've certainly had enough glimpses of you the last few months.
Okay.
So move over, DG, so I can see the screen better.
Sorry about that. Thanks so much, Harriet and DG. DG, I'm happy for you that toast wasn't longer. I'm afraid you wouldn't have made it through the whole event there. What a great night. I'm Sims. This is my wife, Posey. We love the garden and appreciate all of you joining tonight to have fun, but also to focus on the garden's impact on the greater community.
There's no other place I'd rather be. This spring didn't turn out as anyone expected, but I'm excited to be part of this virtual event to support the garden. I hope they can reopen soon.
Each of you are important to the garden's future. There are over 3,500 supporting members of the garden, and these members provide a big portion of the garden's annual operating budget every year. By supporting this event, you're also providing for the garden's future. Hey, Posey, let's go watch the news.
From NCBG World Headquarters in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, this is the NCBG Nightly News with Damon Waite.
Tonight, the North Carolina Botanical Garden celebrates the year of the wildflower with a Carolina Moonlight virtual party. Is this the new normal? We'll talk to Botanical Garden Foundation Board President Ann Harris to find out. In our NCBG News special report, UNC Chancellor Kevin Guskowitz reports on the Botanical Garden's significance to the university and the community. Some good news. Garden staff may be stuck at home, but they are not stuck inside. How the garden is engaging the public while closed. Fresh produce from the Carolina Community Garden is making a difference to frontline healthcare workers at UNC's Medical Center. Across America, skyrocketing grocery prices have more and more people growing their own food. For more on this developing story, we'll hear from foodscape revolutionary Bree Arthur. It's the year of the wildflower. Do you know more than you think you know about wildflowers? We'll find out on The More You Know. And No Garden, No Cry, an NCBG News exclusive world premiere music video. Good evening, everyone. We start tonight's broadcast with Ann Harris, president of the North Carolina Botanical Garden Foundation, at her home in Chapel Hill. Ann, Carolina Moonlight Virtual Party, is it real?
Thanks, Damon. No, it's not real. But anyway, welcome everyone to the first ever Carolina Moonlight Virtual Party. On behalf of the North Carolina Botanical Garden Foundation, I want to thank you for supporting the garden and for joining us for this special evening. We have an exciting night ahead of us with several special appearances and even a world premiere music video. And the Carolina Moonlight is more than an annual party. This is an evening where we focus on the Foundation's emphasis on land protection, supporting the garden's conservation mission, and highlighting how the garden enriches our lives. Back to you, Damon.
Ann Harris, thank you. Although the main garden has been closed since March 20th, it has managed to keep its trails, natural areas, and the Coker Arboretum open to the public, providing an important source of respite to the community. For more on that, we go to University Chancellor Kevin Guskowitz in this special report.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here at the Carolina Moonlight Virtual Party at the North Carolina Botanical Garden. I wish we could all be together in person, but I'm glad that we're able to celebrate the North Carolina Botanical Garden's role in leading the nation in native plant conservation, horticulture, and education for more than 50 years. As part of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, the Botanical Garden advances the university's mission of teaching, research, and public service. By furthering the understanding, appreciation, and conservation of plants, the Botanical Gardens plays a crucial role in enhancing our sustainability goals and building our relationship with nature. During these extraordinary times, the Botanical Garden has served our community by first keeping the Coker Arboretum and the nature trails open to offer a connection to nature for the physical and well-being of our community members. Second, by redirecting all produce harvested from the community garden to UNC hospitals to provide healthy food to frontline healthcare workers. And finally, by engaging the public with the stuck at home, not stuck inside activities and webinar content for all ages on the garden's website. Thank you for your dedication and commitment to the Botanical Garden and its mission. We are looking forward to the garden's reopening in the near future, and we are grateful for your support. Thank you, and go Heels.
Thank you, Chancellor Guskowitz. Pandemic may have stopped the public from coming to the garden, but it didn't stop the garden from coming to you. Virtual Earth Week, lunchbox webinars, plant power podcasts, and stuck at home, not stuck inside activities are just a few of the examples of how the garden has engaged the public while closed. Meanwhile, garden staff have established backyard satellite nurseries, shared their favorite wildflower pics in celebration of North Carolina Wildflower Week, and given back to the community by donating blood and making face shields for medical workers. Let's take a closer look in a segment we call Some Good News.
how do you do? I'm Johnny Randall, Director of Conservation at the North Carolina Botanical Garden, here at the beautiful Mason Farm Biological Reserve, where I would like for visitors to continue to walk and enjoy this incredible spot of tremendous biological diversity.
Hey everybody, it's hard to answer the question, what is your favorite wildflower? Because they all are. But today, my favorite is Sisyrinchium, or blue-eyed grass.
One of my favorite wildflowers is Coreopsis auriculata, this bright and happy member of the sunflower family. It's also known as lobed tickseed, or my favorite, mouse ear tickseed.
Hey there. My favorite wildflower is the trout lily, and this is what is left of the best trout lily that we found this spring. Little kind of pyramid-shaped balloon of the seed head. The rest of the plant's gone dormant, which is why I think they're so cool. They come up and do their whole thing before May.
Welcome back to Plant Power, the power of plants in a changing climate. I'm your host, Emma Wilson, the Fred and Virginia Houck Sustainability Intern at the North Carolina Botanical Garden. I'm here to guide you on a 6-episode journey through native plant topics and their connection with our changing climate through interviews with some of North Carolina's finest naturalists.
While native plants do provide a service to that ecosystem, we are also definitely saying that in all cases, invasive plants are not providing a service to that ecosystem.
Welcome to Edible Campus UNC's Virtual Earth Week celebration. And over the course of this week, you'll get DIY gardening, cooking, and wellness videos led by our awesome leadership team. We hope you enjoy and invite you to engage with us on social media with any questions or inspiration of your own. Perhaps you'll use this time to start that new garden project or just kick back with some homemade herbal tea.
I want to welcome everyone to our first virtual lunchbox talk of the North Carolina Botanical Garden.
Seeds are really amazing. They vary in color, they vary in texture. They can do so much of us. They have different forms and functions.
Hi, I'm Jana, and this is Bird Gym. Eagle flaps. So bent over, we're going to extend our arms at the same time. Bald eagles will prey on fish, birds, and mammals, but they are also considered scavengers. The song of the robin is also typically a first sign of spring. Robins tend to forage in flocks when they're not nesting. It's really comforting and good to know about all the efforts happening at the local level, at the national level, and even on a global scale to combat the effects of climate change. Anyone can participate in this effort from home. There's a lot of work to do, even if it's just in our own backyards and on the roadsides. The third one is really that action starts with empathy. And if we just take some time to slow down and appreciate the natural world around us, that we can begin to build empathy and understand the value of a biodiverse ecosystem.
Up next, it's another installment of a report we call Making a Difference because it's about people who are doing just that. When COVID caused the university to implement reduced operations, volunteer helpers at the Carolina Community Garden had to be sent home, and the UNC housekeeping staff who had previously received that produce were no longer on campus. Community garden manager Claire Lorch was determined not to let the garden's produce go to waste. She partnered with medical students from the Carolina COVID Student Services Corps and began distributing healthy organic produce to healthcare workers on the front line of the COVID crisis at UNC Medical Center. For more on that, we go to Renee Chu with our Raleigh affiliate, WRAL.
At UNC Chapel Hill, spring produce is ready for harvest, but COVID-19 means fewer volunteers to do the work. In our morning original, that's the challenge facing their community garden. The COVID-19 pandemic caused a big challenge for leaders of this Carolina community garden.
This has probably been the best spring we've had in years. And so it's like, oh, we have all this food. What can we do with it?
Garden manager Claire Lorch says due to pandemic safety concerns, regular community volunteers are not able to bring in this spring bounty.
We've got spinach, Chinese cabbage, green onions, carrots, radishes, collards, kale.
Now they depend heavily on medical student volunteers like Madeline Hamilton and Lexi Betancourt.
We're, trying to find ways, other than being in the hospital right now that we could try to help out kind of locally.
It's not anything that I've done before, so it's learning a new skill too.
This garden was created 10 years ago to fulfill an important mission to increase food access for university employees.
Ordinarily, the food goes to UNC's housekeepers, all the people that clean the buildings.
Because campus classes and buildings are closed, many housekeepers aren't on the job. To avoid waste, the food is delivered to medical center staff who are working and harder than ever.
They're very appreciative on their end, and we are really happy to be making a tiny contribution to the effort.
Thank you, Renee. That's what I call making a difference. NCBG News Update. We just learned that Claire Lorch is the recipient of the Employee Forum's 2020 Professional Excellence Award for exceptional execution above and beyond her assigned duties and her exemplary interaction with the outside community. Now it's time to check in with guest Jacob Bohm, lead chef at Snack Peak Catering, who has created a specialty appetizer just for this newscast. Warning, if you are trying this at home, please keep your laptop a safe distance from the hot oil.
Hey guys, it is Jacob Bohm from Snappy here. I'm so excited to be participating tonight in the Carolina Moonlight virtual party. I want to show you how to make a really simple dish that uses a flower which grows wild here. And to do that, we need to go pick some daylilies. So come on with me. Alright, I'm just going to cut them just below the bud. And I'm going to use ones that are a little bit open because I think that'll give us some nice bits to get really crispy, flaky, and lacy. You can certainly do it on ones that aren't quite as far open, but I think the ones that are further open are going to work better. Alright, I'm just going to get, we need 6 of these. That'll be plenty. There we go. Let's go cook them. All right, we've got these gorgeous daylilies here. And you just want to look over them, make sure there's no little bugs or ants or anything. You can give them a light brush down if they're dirty. You don't want to get them too wet because that'll mess up the batter that we're going to do. But now that we have those, why don't we go ahead and put together a really simple batter. This is a batter that you can use to fry all sorts of different things. But before we get to that, just make sure that you have your oil preheating. You want your oil around 350, 375. And so just be monitoring the temperature of that. And I'll show you a little trick to check the temperature in a second. But for the batter, it's a really simple batter. It just starts with a cup and a quarter of regular old all-purpose flour. This is flour from Lindley Mills, so it's local and organic, grown and ground. 1 cup. 1/4. There we go. A nice healthy pinch of salt. The salt I'm using is Outer Banks sea salt from the coast of North Carolina. And then just a 12-ounce can of beer. I'm using a Pilsner from Ponysaurus. And we're just gonna mix that in. And the bubbles will help give this batter a really nice lightness. And it's okay if there's a tiny little clump here or there, but you want it mostly incorporated. Just get all the rest of that flour incorporated. There we go. These daylily flowers grow all over. They grow all over the triangle. You might have some in your garden or your neighborhood as well. You can eat a bunch of different parts of them. You can eat the root or the tuber. You can eat the flowers. You can even eat the stems, which is pretty cool. So, all right, we got our batter done here, which is just that beer, the flour, a little pinch of salt. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that our oil is ready to go here. So to do that, you can use a thermometer, look for 350, 370 up. I'm just going to use an old crust of bread here, and I'm just going to dip it in and see if it sizzles. That's a good sign that you're about where you want to be. Sizzles means we're good to go. So now, pretty simple. Just get the batter sort of close to the flowers. Wipe up that. Close to the oil. And then we're just going to dip these flowers in. What I like about this batter is that it's not too thick. So there we go. And just into the oil. Well, it's a little hot, so I'm going to turn it down. Next one. In. And I don't want to crowd these, so I'm just going to do 2 at a time. And just using my tongs, I'm going to flip them over. You'll see how quickly this goes. This first one is already done. I'm going to pull that out. Flip this one over. That one is done. You're looking for that gorgeous golden brown color. Here, let's do a couple more. I think you'll be surprised how quick and easy this comes together. Make sure that's all covered. In the oil we go. I pick a higher temperature, like 375 for this, because the flowers are really delicate, and so we don't want to overcook them, and so we want to make sure that the batter cooks fairly quickly so that the flowers don't get overcooked in that amount of time. And if you get little bits of batter in here, you can just go ahead and fish them out, just so they don't clump to the future flowers that you are going to fry. All right, let's do the last 2 here. Super simple. There we go. 1. Just rotating it through, making sure it's all covered except that little stem. And 2. As soon as they come out, you want to, you want to give them a little sprinkling of some more of that sea salt. You can turn the oil off now that we're done, just to make sure that they're salted right when they come out. And to serve these, move that here. To serve these, I want to make a really quick aioli. So to do that, we're just going to get a glass like this. We're going to get an immersion blender like this. So I'm going to plug it over here. And the base of this is going to be, it's an aioli, but we're going to flavor it with these beautiful pickled ramps. So to start, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice these pickled ramps up into smaller pieces. And I'm using maybe a tablespoon or so of the ramps. I'm using this clear glass so you'll be able to see this all happen. And then I'm just going to take 1 egg. I'm using these gorgeous pasture-raised eggs. And we're going to put the whole egg in there. We're going to do a little lemon juice. I like to take the lemon and just roll it like that. And then slice it in half. That way you get all that juice released from there. And just a squeeze of lemon juice, like that. Nice little pinch of salt. Couple grounds of black pepper. And I'm going to use olive oil today to emulsify this, but you could use canola or peanut, whatever you wanted. This is olive oil that's coming from Lakeland, Georgia. and here. Watch this. Once you've let those things settle, then you take the immersion blender and just put it all the way at the bottom. Put it on high, and you're going to slowly lift it up, and you'll see just how quickly this aioli comes together. All right, here we go. I'm starting to raise it up. And you can see, just that simple, our aioli is done. So to serve it up, I like to take this beautiful aioli, just put it in a nice little bowl here, and then these squash blossoms we can just plate up in a nice bowl like this and let people serve themselves all these beautiful crispy flowers. I love when they hold their flower shape like that. And then there you have it. We've got our crispy fried daylilies, and we've got this pickled wild ramp aioli. Let's give it a try here. I'm just going to take that, just give it a little dip. Delicious. The flower has a little light bitterness, but also a light sweetness, a little floral note, which goes so well with the onion flavor of the ramp. The batter is really light and crispy, so it doesn't overwhelm with a really heavy gloopy dressing. I think it works really well together. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I had a blast cooking for you. If you enjoyed this, feel free to check out our weekly cook-alongs at snappnc.com. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening with the North Carolina Botanical Gardens.
Thank you, Jacob. That looks delicious. Let's take a commercial break while you enjoy your fried daylily blossoms with wild ramp aioli. We go now to Stephen Heath, NCBG News Director of Development, to check in with our sponsors. Stephen?
Thank you, Damon. Each year, the business community is invited to help sustain the operations of the Botanical Garden to continue its genuine benefit to the community. A huge thank you to the corporate partners and supporting businesses listed on the screen. These businesses provide the garden with a cash gift or gift-in-kind services that benefit the overall mission of the garden. All this various funding helps the garden meet its annual budget of over $3 million. And many other businesses in the community participate throughout the year, helping to sponsor individual events and activities of the garden. We encourage you to thank and patronize these local businesses who all share the conservation values of the garden. Back to you, Damon, but also just to let you know, we are feeling a lot of love and appreciation from the business community.
Thank you for that report, Stephen. More time at home and skyrocketing grocery prices have caused a resurgence in home gardening. More people are growing their own vegetables, but few people are thinking about including grains in their home garden. For more on this developing story, we go to Bree Arthur, foodscape revolutionary and author of Gardening with Grains, at her garden in Fuquay Varina.
My name is Bree Arthur, author, horticulturalist, and lifelong home gardener, living right here in Fuquay Varina, North Carolina. In honor of the CarolinaMoonlight virtual party for North Carolina Botanic Garden, I've created a very special video featuring my favorite native edible, the beautiful corn plant. So sit back and relax, and I hope you enjoy this tribute. In my Midwest childhood years, seeing corn meant summer had arrived. Knee-high by the 4th of July was a true indication of the season. Fresh corn on the cob meant the county 4-H fair was not far off. The endless fields stretched to the horizons, and like most people, I took that scene for granted. For me, I thought this crop grew bountifully with no effort at all. Corn is a cereal grain first domesticated in southern Mexico about 10,000 years ago. There is some debate about how it hybridized and eventually spread across Central, North, and South America. Was it by multiple independent domestications or a single domestication of the plant? Either way, corn is another example of a cereal that co-evolved with humans. It is thought that corn would not even exist today if it weren't for the hybridizations and selections that people made thousands of years ago. Yes, long before GMO was a cause for concern, people were modifying their maize. In the present day, maize remains the most widely grown crop in the world, with total production surpassing that of wheat and rice combined. However, very little of this is consumed directly by humans. Most of the corn grown is used for corn ethanol, animal feed, and other products such as cornstarch and corn syrup. With 14.6 billion bushels produced in the United States alone, it ranks as our #1 crop. Approximately 40% of that harvest is used for corn ethanol, which is derived from corn biomass and processed through fermentation and distillation. Corn is the only cereal grain native to the Western Hemisphere, and it plays an important role in our daily lives. But the concept of everything in moderation should apply to not only the consumption of corn in all its different forms, but also to our assumptions about conventional agriculture and food science. The more we know, the better we will be. Since corn has become the poster child for much that is wrong with modern scientific advancements in food production, it seems appropriate that I encourage each of you to grow more corn yourself in your own soil and on your own terms. It is a beautiful, productive, native plant, after all. Most of all, I want you to enjoy the beauty and bounty that all plants can offer. I find that when I grow a plant, my appreciation deepens, not only for the plant itself, but for the industry that supports its development. So give corn a try. Thumb some seeds into the ground and see what you can harvest this year. For tuning in, and thank you for your support of the North Carolina Botanic Garden. May we all raise a glass and toast to the spirit of conservation and gardening across the planet. Cheers.
Thank you for that story, Bree, and thank you for your service as a board member of the North Carolina Botanical Garden Foundation. The Year of the Wild Virus hasn't kept us from celebrating the Year of the Wildflower. In fact, just last month, Governor Roy Cooper proclaimed the first week of May as North Carolina Wildflower Week to promote North Carolina's native wildflowers and plants. We want to know what our viewers know about the wildflowers that define our state and provide a sense of place and regional identity. For that, we go to our NCBG News Director of Education, Joanna Lalikas, in a special segment of The More You Know. Joanna?
Damon, I don't think we've ever had a more beautiful spring at the garden. And I'm curious what our viewers know about wildflowers.
Joanna, I think we'll be pleasantly surprised. Our viewers are a pretty sharp group of people.
Let's play wildflower trivia and find out. Now, question 1. The root of this spring wildflower can be used to make a bright blood red dye and paint. All right, you want a few clues? We named our 2020 winter blood drive after this lovely plant. This spring ephemeral wildflower has bright white flowers. They're about 1 to 2 inches wide with 7 to 12 petals surrounding a beautiful yellow center. And it grows in moist, nutrient-rich forests. And enter your best response. The answer is bloodroot. And it looks like about 90% of you got that one right. Way to go. We've got some plant experts on the line. Question number 2. Indigenous people made a tea from this wildflower to help cure hiccups. All right, a few more clues. It's also a spring ephemeral. It grows in woodlands where it takes advantage of the sunlight hitting the forest floor before the leaves come out in the spring. Leaves grow from the lowest part of the stem. We call that basal. Flowers are solitary and trumpet shaped, and it's in the lily family. All right, get those answers in, and the answer is trout lily. And we had about 80% right on that one. Let's keep it up. Great job. Question number 3. This wildflower has highly modified leaves that spring shut to trap its prey. Some more clues for you. A recent study revealed that this wildflower actually eats more spiders than flies. Darwin called this wildflower the most interesting plant in the world. 2 trigger hairs must be touched on the plant for this wildflower to spring its trap. And someday soon, you'll see this wildflower on the bumpers or the backs of North Carolina vehicles. All right, wrap up your answers, and the answer is Venus flytrap. 100%. Amazing job. All right, question number 4. This is a common roadside wildflower in our area, and like other members of its genus, it's a host of the monarch butterfly caterpillars. All right, some clues for you here. It has orange flowers and compound umbels. Unlike other members of its group, it doesn't ooze a sticky white sap if it's damaged. The down from its seeds were once spun to make candle wicks. And I'm standing right next to one here in the garden, loaded with pollinators. All right, put in your final answers, and the answer is butterfly milkweed, and we had 90% correct on that answer. It looks like we've got some real monarch lovers at home. All right, last question. Question 5. This wildflower is used to help detect pollution. Its flowers change color from purple to light pink if exposed to high levels of air pollution. This one was really prolific in the garden just a couple of weeks ago. And at the garden, the flowers are purple. It's taller than most of the other wildflowers that have been in this little quiz. It can be somewhat succulent, and the flowers are about 1 inch wide and clustered, and the stalks of the flowers can be hairy. All right, wrap up those answers. And the answer is spiderwort. Incredible, 80% got that one right. And our viewers really know their wildflowers. Thank you all for playing Wildflower Trivia with me, and back to you, Damon.
Thank you, Joanna. I told you this was a sharp group. Breaking news, and it's a bombshell. When Governor Roy Cooper signed the executive order ordering North Carolinians to stay at home and non-essential businesses to close, the garden sent most of its staff home and closed its gates. One security guard and a state-of-the-art video surveillance system were the only things protecting the garden's priceless living collection. Let's take a look at that security footage in this breaking story.
Hey, Damon!
Whoa!
Hey,
what are you doing here?
Welcome, Damon. It's great to see you.
Tom, you can't be here. The garden is closed.
Damon, I can explain. 2 months ago, I was here the end of March filming some wildflowers, and Governor Cooper announced on the radio that we were supposed to shelter in place, so that's what I did.
Tom, I think the governor meant for you to go home and shelter in place. You can't be at the garden. We've been closed for 8 weeks. How have you survived?
It's all right, Damon. It's all right. There were sandwiches in the refrigerator. There was plenty of coffee in the lounge. I found Paul Green's coffee cup, his toothbrush, and I found your hair of the dog. Thank you, sir.
Well, Tom, first of all, that was full when I left 8 weeks ago. But irregardless, you just can't be here. It's against the rules. You have got to leave.
Not a problem, not a problem. But Damon, I'll be out in a couple days.
I'm sorry, I'm giving you 10 minutes to be out of here. And when you leave, wear this mask.
Damon, you're a hard man. He's gone now. Before I leave, I've got to say goodbye to some friends. Jennifer, thanks for everything, but come on down. I barely see you. Johnny, it's Tom. Hope that tooth is doing better. I've got to leave now. See you later. Charlotte, Damon has run me out, so I've got to leave, but thanks for the brownies. Hang tight. Peter, my man, glad the retirement from the garden is going well. Keep practicing that music. See you soon. I have always wondered what it would be like to have this place to myself. It was even better than I imagined. Just the birds. The butterflies, and me. At times, I even had an out-of-body experience where I could look down on my private garden like an eagle or a hummingbird. Great job. In Paul Green's Cabin, he wrote The Lost Colony, but he could have written something even better. Sea level to 6,000 feet in 12 acres. And that's what I've been able to see over the last 2 months. I've seen the coastal plain, coastal rivers, Piedmont habitat, and even the mountains. Many of the habitats in the Botanical Garden were built by hand. Can you imagine 50 years ago, Richie Bell and some of the other visionaries who put together this garden, hauling in sand and planting pine trees, longleaf pines, and wiregrass, and indigo, and iris, and creating the sand hills right here in Chapel Hill. And this brings to mind people like B.J. Wells, the great botanist from North Carolina State, and the artist who painted these flowers, Dot Wilbur. At our botanical garden, I am literally transported to the longleaf pine ecosystems of the sandhills. Fort Bragg, and Green Swamp. As realistic as the ecosystems are at the Botanical Garden, they are also an invitation to travel to North Carolina's most spectacular natural gardens. The pitcher plants, Venus flytraps, and orchids of the North Carolina Botanical Garden blur the lines between garden and wild landscape, and they become one. Because this state treasure is in the central Piedmont, it holds specimens of many of the wildflowers and trees found from Rocky Mount to Morganton. In red, white, and blue. And it also has many of the most unique trees of the Piedmont. Maybe not the rarest, but one of my favorite trees in the Botanical Garden is the big leaf magnolia. The big leaf magnolia has the largest single leaves on a tree in North America, up to 30 inches. It was found for the first time in North Carolina by André Michaux, the French explorer, in the 1700s. And today, you can see it in the Botanical Garden. During the 10 weeks in which the garden was mine, all mine, I got to see the magnificent wildflowers of North Carolina's Cove Forest and its highest mountains. I watched the blooms of rhododendron, laurel, and flame azalea come and go. I looked into the branches of eastern hemlock and was transported to Linville Gorge, Grandfather Mountain, and Roan Mountain. Here in this marvelous 12 acres, I can photograph the wildflowers in all of North Carolina. I frequently start in the longleaf pine savanna, and I work through the longleaf pine forest, along coastal rivers. When I visit the Botanical Garden, I see the trees, flowers, and ecosystems of North Carolina state parks. and the unmatched splendor of the Blue Ridge Mountains. But I never forget that the Botanical Garden is part of the University of North Carolina and the town of Chapel Hill. Also, never forget that the Botanical Garden Foundation is a land trust protecting over 1,100 acres in the Chapel Hill-Durham area. And this garden provides critical research services to the university and to the state of North Carolina. As beautiful as it is, let us never forget that it is also an economic engine driven by Mother Nature. I'm certain my 10 minutes are up by now, so let me say thank you. Thanks from me and all the other 12-year-olds like me who depend on the Botanical Garden. I've also been asked to say thank you from Mother Nature. We'll see you at the garden soon.
What? Tom, you were supposed to be gone 10 minutes ago.
Damon, please reconsider.
I'm sorry, Tom. You gotta go.
You're a hard man.
I think we're all glad that interloper turned out to be Tom Earnhardt, the well-known North Carolina naturalist and creator of Exploring North Carolina. Tom is a familiar figure at the garden. It's a shame that security guard had to be so tough. I'm sure the director of the garden will have some choice words for that employee. And when the garden reopens, everyone will be able to enjoy their own sea level to 6,000-foot adventure just like Tom. This just in, Steve and Keith, I understand you have some words to share from local music legend Bland Simpson.
Thank you, Damon. The North Carolina Botanical Garden needs the community's support now more than ever. All the garden's revenue streams have been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. Many of you have joined the efforts to support the garden through this Carolina Moonlight event. As of this moment, we have reached 83% of our $60,000 goal. After tonight's broadcast, you will receive an email providing you the opportunity to keep the garden's mission thriving. Please respond and help us surpass the $60,000 goal so the garden can be ready to reopen again in the near future. Now, many of you know Bland Simpson as the Keenan Distinguished Professor of English and Creative Writing at the UNC Chapel Hill, and as a longtime pianist for the Tony Award-winning Red Clay Ramblers. He is also a co-author with his wife, Ann Carey Simpson, of numerous books about Eastern and coastal North Carolina. Bland, we also know you as an avid nature lover and strong advocate for the conservation of the state's natural resources. Bland, thank you for sharing your love of the garden and the role it plays in North Carolina with this special message.
Spring wildflowers, clear flowing streams, solitary paths through the forest, children peering from the bird blind, people gaining inspiration from classes, from vegetables harvested for the benefit of the community. These are all images of the North Carolina Botanical Garden as it works to bring nature and people together and celebrates the preservation and protection of our wild, natural world. These are unprecedented times, and it's in these moments we rally our hopes and dreams for a better tomorrow. With your help, the North Carolina Botanical Garden will reopen in the near future. Let us make sure the garden has the resources to continue their conservation focus. Please go online and make a donation to support the garden's future, a future bright with sanguinity and hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Bland, for that inspiring message. Now, for the NCBG News exclusive you have all been waiting for. Here at NCBG News, we're always on the lookout for the next breakout recording artist. We didn't expect to find that kind of talent in a fire-loving natural areas manager at Mason Farm. But this singer-songwriter came across our desk last month, and we haven't been able to get the song out of our heads. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the world premiere music video of No Garden, No Cry by Mason Farm land manager Neville Handel.
No garden, no cry. No garden, no cry. No garden, no cry. No garden, no cry. Said I remember when we used to sit in the Tartan Center at our desks. Oba Zabi, Heather and Chris, as they were cleaning seats with volunteers. With friends we had sitting at home in quarantine, yeah. In this green springtime, we can't forget our past. So dry your tears, I say, and no garden, no cry. No garden, no cry. Dear little garden, won't go nowhere. So no garden, no cry. I remember when we used to meet in the Arboretum garden. I'd see Goki and his team at the potting bench, and they were spreading dirt most everywhere, yeah. Then we would look for weed pulling folks for outdoor labor too, yeah. Our lands still need work, you see, and we can't do that on Zoom. But while we're closed, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright, yeah. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright, yeah. Everything's gonna be alright. No garden, no cry. No garden, no cry. Our dear little garden won't go nowhere. So no garden, no cry.
Everything's gonna be alright.
Friends, today we find ourselves reminded of the inhumanity in the world, that humans are not only capable of destroying the environment, but of destroying one another. As a conservation garden, we are committed to the preservation of biodiversity as a key component of healthy ecosystems. Similarly, we understand that cultural diversity creates a fuller, richer, and more vibrant world. Environmentalism, land conservation, and public gardens in the United States have long been defined from a white perspective, often at the expense of people of color. We know that we have a lot of work to do ourselves to make a meaningful change at this garden. We are committed to listening, learning, and growing so that our organization can cultivate diversity in all of its forms, both in principle and practice. As we work to reconcile our relationship with nature and to each other, we are reminded of all the ways in which the earth sustains life. The pandemic has brought to light how quickly nature can heal itself when the human pressure is lifted, and how nature can heal the human spirit when that spirit is challenged. Although the future may seem uncertain, one thing is clear. Our commitment to diversity in all of its forms will remain firm and unwavering. From all of us at NCBG Nightly News, thank you for joining us. I'm Damon Waite. Please take care of yourself and each other.
Wake up, darling, sun shining on the sea. Fog's lifted yonder the shore. I do my best to put the world right at your feet. Hang the moon outside your door. I'm taking you down to a home on the river, taking you down to that great big old bay, where nothing's forsaken and all is forgiven. Oh, love of my life, I want to lead you astray. I was lonesome and terrified, barely could speak your first name. Then you showed me the wonders of the world outside. Now I'm trying to do the same. Oh, I'm taking you down to a home on the river, taking you down that great big old bay, where nothing's forsaken and all is forgiven. Oh, love of my life, I want to lead you astray. There's no time like the present, testing the metal of love. Be no time like the future, my friend, to ponder the heavens above. And there's a place in my heart where peace on earth is close at hand. You can go there with me, place where the live old Spanish moss still command, just as far as you see. Oh, I'm taking you down to a home on the river, taking you down that great big old bay, where nothing's forsaken and all is forgiven.